So the first question is about the project in general. What do you think is the big challenge or lesson you learned doing the Yunomi project? If other companies would like to start similar approach, what would be the biggest challenges they meet?
So if you look at the big challenges for a project like Yunomi, then it's really about the complexity of it all. I mean, most of it, it's multiple brands, so organizing the whole way of working around that. Managing internal expectations is really important because you're going to do a big a marketing project which takes a lot of investment, and managing that in still an uncertain media as internet, as it's seen many times from a board level, where they don't really buy it that much as TV. It's really expectation management, managing internal organization. The rest is, okay, leave it up to a good agency that has the knowledge, the experience, and you can set up a really good project where it's really important that you always focus from the perspective of the consumer. And that's difficult to convince really the companies that say, okay, do not approach this as you would do your normal campaigns. Approach this from a total different angle, and really from the consumer side. What can we do for them? How can we help them on a daily level with your brands? And it's really like spreading the word in a company and convincing them that this is the approach, or you don't do it at all, otherwise it will not succeed. So I think that's the big learning, setting up a team internally, externally, convincing the people, managing quite a big project, which most brands are not known to. I mean, they just brief the agency, they deliver, it's finished, and this never finishes. It's 24/7. And that's new for most brands. They're now getting to know this on Facebook when they do conversation, but still the extensive amount of time that it costs to do a project is that's the big learning, I think.
How do you handle change this angle a bit to make it more varied? How do you handle competing brands? If somebody is praising competing brand, or if you see competitor saying maybe bad things about Unilever products, how do you handle that?
So like any good platform where you want to really build a community, it's honesty which is very important. If you're not honest to your community and you're not open, they will finally let you go and even become negative about you. So from the start we said, okay, we work in the same way like traditional magazines or newspapers. We have sort of an editorial guideline, and we have a branded part in there. And people who do things, consumers, on other brands than the one that are sponsoring the project, you have to leave it in. As long as it is normal, honest communication about, oh, but I like to use this, or it's a good product still, I like that one better. You have to leave it in, otherwise you're dead and you might as well stop the project. So, but that's difficult, eh? So you have to convince brands as well that are joining the project that, okay, there can be competition from the consumer perspective in the website. When we see marketeers for competitive brands releasing content by promoting their brands on the platform, that of course will be deleted from the platform, because that's against the regulations of the platform. So that's where we draw the line. And sometimes it takes some research, but you find out quite easily if it's really a brand promoting on a free basis on the platform.
There's been a lot of talk. Big number of different marketing gurus have said that, you know, these days brands become publishers and the content is king and all these buzzwords.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you don't really see too many good examples of brand being a publisher, and that's why I think that's what makes this Yunomi case really exceptional. What do you think is the main problem? Why it's so hard for other brands to do that?
First of all, I think it's most of the time a management decision on the brand side that they want to be open to the public. They want to have this conversation with public, but at the moment you're really launching a project and you're talking about it, they hesitate. They are not fully open and say, yeah, but what if? It's always the what if. Let's do this, but first check the content before it goes online. And that's the main difference. We always, from the first moment on, said everything that is published by consumers will go directly online. So that's the only way that you really kick off. So you see some of these other brands globally trying to do this, but you see like, okay, the editorial part makes a piece of content about a brand in the same way as we would do, but the commenting on it, the going live of really such an article is never taking off because somebody is commenting, it's not right away there, nobody answers, and it's lost. And that's I think the big difference from the start is really getting everything online right away, and the community itself is then starting to help you on really looking at the content and if it's acceptable or not, and flagging content that's not acceptable.
Have you had a real crisis, like a manager from Unilever calling you saying that, have you read this morning what they are writing?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, we do. I mean, but not. It's like, okay, people who are using the platform to do games, for instance. We have people that do games weekly. They take a famous people, they take a shot of their head, like their ear or their eye, and they ask the other ones, who is this? And then all of a sudden we have these managers calling like, yeah, you're using the image of this and that person. But okay, if you really look at the normal regulations, it's not our, we say clearly to everybody, everything you put on there, you must be sure that you own the copyright of that. But that's, so there are always problems. Or somebody is telling like, okay, put your sponge in your microwave to heat it up to get rid of bacteria. And people do that and it cuts fire, and you have things like that. So there's always, of course, this management that you have to do as well, which makes it a vulnerable situation to companies, which also makes that you don't see a lot of this initiative really taking off, because the legal department doesn't really know what to do with it. So that's why it's such a brave decision of Unilever to do this project.
And finally, the question about ROI. We have the numbers about the readers or the registered users and the numbers of comments and all this, more like, I would say, soft data. But what about hard data? How do they measure that? How do they see that in their accounts?
So when we set off this project, it was really about loyalty. And at least, of course, you have to be convinced that, okay, loyalty brings extra sales. And there are lots of researchers that prove that people getting into contact, becoming loyal brand buyers, if you come into contact with online content about a brand, you buy more. So based on this, you could build a case very easily on the upsells that you would have if you have enough people really connecting to a brand. So based on that, you could figure out, okay, how many members would I need to have extra sales? What would then be the investment compared to the wins I have in sales? And you have a very nice business case on that. On the other hand, if it really takes off and you have such a huge amount of visitors and you become your own media channel, then you look at a whole other thing. It's like, okay, I have my media space here for more or less free, you could say, internal money. And how does it compete to external advertising space? So you have two different angles in how you could calculate this. And that's learning by doing, seeing how things take off. And that takes guts if you want to do a project like this. Don't just say this needs to be done in this way, but learn and change. So.
Okay, thanks.